Welcome to the Growth Catalyst Show, where we believe that growth can come in many forms: professional, personal, company, sales, you name it. I'm your host, Dan Mahoney, founder of Transcendent Sales Solutions and a guide to a world of growth possibilities. I've spent my career empowering companies and their people with strategies that accelerate growth. I'm here to bring you stories of these business leaders and their trusted advisors to gain insights into their journeys and learn how they fuel their own growth. Just maybe their journey could become part of your own growth story. Are you ready? Let's grow. Welcome to the next edition of the Growth Catalyst Show. I'm your host, Dan Mahoney. My next guest, Peter Thelen, is a certified public accountant and founder and president of Thelen Financial. He is an accomplished operations, finance, and accounting executive who provides key strategic leadership in complex and expanding businesses. Peter, welcome to the Growth Catalyst Show.
Thanks, Dan. Thanks for having me.
I finally got you on.
Yeah, I was dodging you for a while.
You were, and we made a deal the other night when we were out partaking in spirits and cigars that we were going to light up and drink while we're doing this. Do you remember?
Yeah, they don't let me smoke in here.
Yeah, and I would probably get kicked out of my home office if my wife smelled cigar smoke when she got home. So, yeah. All right, we're going to have to power through it, buddy. We'll kick right in. So, appreciate you being on the show. So, again, everybody that knows you or doesn't know you, they can tell very quickly. You're from Texas.
Yep. Born and raised, Georgetown, Texas.
Born and raised. You got that little Longhorn cup here. There's not a crack in it, is there?
Nope.
So tell me, where are you from actually in Texas?
Born in Georgetown, lived out in a place called Liberty Hill for most of my life, and then a little place you've never heard of called Briggs, which is near Killeen, Fort Hood, and then went to college out in Lubbock. So lived a little bit everywhere.
So initially, and again, I didn't do well in geography. So literally, Georgetown is that north, or is that Austin area? I don't know
It's central. It's just north of Austin. It's like the Alpharetta of Austin.
The Alpharetta of Austin. Okay.
Yeah,
all right.
Yeah.
Okay. And now you're in the Alpharetta of Alpharetta, right?
There you go. Alpharetta of Atlanta.
So Lubbock is West Texas, isn't it?
Way west, 6.5 hours.
Yeah. Like closer to New Mexico, kind of.
Yeah. It's about an hour. Right? It's about an hour and a half east of New Mexico.
So how did you end up in Lubbock, Texas for college? There's got to be a story behind this.
So I had a athletic director of the league that I played basketball in, and my junior year, I think it was, he was like, we've come so far, our league's come a long ways, and I'm really proud of everything y'all have done. He said, one day I really hope to have some college level talent, some people who we can, send off to play in college from this league. And I kind of took that as a slap in the face that we weren't good enough. So I made it my mission to find a school to let me play, and that's what I did. Lubbock Christian University was dumb enough to let me play basketball for them.
So tell me about your collegiate basketball career, which, by the way, I never really knew that. So this is new to me.
It was short-lived. I made the team, practiced a lot, only averaged maybe a minute or less per game. Did get a few rebounds. I think I scored once. But I actually got to play against Jay Crowder twice, he went on to do some great things in the NBA. He was phenomenal to play against. He was a phenomenal basketball player. But yeah, once it became clear to me I wasn't going anywhere with basketball, I bailed on that.
You sound like you had I had a basketball career like that in junior high and in high school. They'd bring me in and the coach would say, do not shoot the ball. I need you to go maybe get a rebound, but foul people. So
yeah, that might've been the goal.
That's right. If you don't get, and of course I took the shot. Every time I got the damn ball, I'd take a shot, right?
Yep. Throwing it up, Mahoney putting it up.
So going into college, other than, being the next Larry Bird, what was your aspiration? What did you want to do?
I had no idea. The admissions advisor that I was assigned to happened to be the dean of the accounting department, and I'm sitting there doing my paperwork, and it was, the athletes all have their own admission day, so it's just, the athletes on campus that day, and we're doing the paperwork, and he goes, "So what's your major going to be?" I said, "What's a major? I don't even know what that means." So he explained all that to me. I said, "Oh, I get it. My dad wants me to be an engineer." And he said, "Well, we don't have an engineering program, but we have accounting, and it's basically the same thing."
Wow. You only did know X's and O's, right?
So that's how I ended up in accounting. I was like, "Fine, sign me up."
And you actually stayed with accounting. That was it through the 4
Yeah,
years
I
or the 5 years or the 6 or whatever it was.
well, I messed up and got a 4.0 that first semester, and I was like, "This is
Oh,
easy." And the rest is history. I stayed with that professor. He was there a lot, and at the end, my roommate and I both did the same track, and he told us at the end, he's like, "Man, I didn't think you guys were going to make it through the program when y'all signed up." So I guess it was meant to be.
it was meant to be. So I saw as I was looking at your work background, I saw officer at Lubbock Christian University, and I'm
Oh
thinking,
yeah,
oh, he got to do an accounting officer or everything. You were like a police officer, like a resource officer.
yeah. So after I quit the team, obviously you lose your scholarship for that. So
Oh yeah. Oh
I
that.
so I got a job with the security police department there on campus, and that worked out great because I could study all the time. It's a pretty small campus. It's pretty quiet.
And you didn't have to carry a gun.
Um, is this
No
being
comment.
recorded? Nope, no guns.
No gun. No guns. It's Texas.
Yeah, right. Texas.
It's Texas.
It's Texas. There we go.
That's right. So, well, how did you end up in Atlanta? You're in Texas, you're all over Texas, and as far west as Texas as Lubbock is. How did you end up in the Atlanta area? What brought you here?
So the landscape company, Landmark Landscapes, reached out to me my senior year right before I graduated. They were looking for a um, controller slash CFO. They were really small. They were about 6 million in revenue, struggling to make a profit. And I thought that would be a great opportunity. I had been working for a big corporation. A big corporation, you get like pigeonholed. Like I was doing fixed assets. I did fixed assets 5 days a week, 52 weeks out of the year, and thought it'd be a great opportunity to come up here and see the whole picture. Get a good education on business. And so that's how I ended up here.
Just got a call, got a job, and just boom, let's move to
Yeah.
Atlanta.
Yeah. My daughter was 3 weeks old when I moved.
Your oldest was 3 weeks old.
Yeah. Yeah. It actually was supposed to be about a month longer that I had. But what happened was the owner was corresponding with me, and I wanted to be, all professional. And so I hand wrote a acceptance letter and I mailed it to the office. And the lady who was doing the bookkeeping and stuff got that letter and resigned the next day.
Oh, got it.
So so they called like, "Hey, Susan resigned. We're going to need you to start now."
Great letter, but
Yeah, yeah. So we ended up moving, sold our house in about 2 weeks, and moved. And yeah, my oldest daughter was, what did I say, 3 weeks old, 6 weeks old? She was 6 weeks.
and now you have three.
Yeah, we got three.
You have three. That's awesome. So I didn't know you started your family here. I didn't know when you actually moved.
Yeah. Well, it was right after college.
So when did you blend in finding the time to, get your CPA?
Oh man, I did that at night. I often studied. Get home at 6, 7 at night, have a little dinner, get the kids to bed, and then study till 2 a.m. often. Yeah, get up and do it all over.
I'm taking it that was harder than your 4-year degree.
Oh, way harder. Yeah, no, the CPA exam is it's nothing to sneeze at. If I had it to do, I did take about a 2-year break between college and that. If I had to do over, I would have just studied for the CPA as part of my senior year and then just rolled into it. But you know, hindsight's 2020, right?
I had the 14-year gap between getting my MBA, and actually I found it easier. And as I'd worked in the work, that it was a lot easier for me to do it than I don't think I was ready to do it out of college.
Sure. Yeah. No, that makes sense.
Yeah, everybody's different. So you started Thelen Financial Partners, and you started it at a very young age. You decided to become an entrepreneur. How did you decide to pivot from Landmark, which are, I think, if I remember you telling me, you were at Landmark for like over 8 years, right?
9 or 10. Yeah.
Yeah, so you're at Landmark for a long time. How did you all of a sudden just go, you know what, I'm ready to go out on my own?
So being in the landscape business, I worked closely and networked closely with a lot of small business owners and that kind of stuff. And I got a lot of people wanting to take me to lunch, pick my brain, figure out what we were doing, figure out what they could do with their business. And just one of those things. I was like, I can make some consulting dollars and help people out here at the same time. And so I kind of started it before I left Landmark and was just doing those informal things. Um, and then Landmark was sold and a private equity deal. And I worked out a little period of time with them and then went out on my own. Started out only doing what I called fractional CFO work. It was just consulting as a CFO, an outside CFO. And then a lot of those clients started saying, "Hey, why aren't you doing our taxes and that kind of thing?" And so we rolled that in, and then I found the CPA world outside of CFO work to be more interesting for me, for my personality, and so here we are today.
Are you sorry you got into taxes?
Only some days.
It's only some days, which
Yeah,
those days are about to start as we enter the tax year.
yeah. They started about 2 days before Christmas this year. It's very strange.
So early.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought I would have a nice quiet Christmas. We went back to Texas and it was constant emails and people calling and it was crazy.
Well, tell me a little bit about more other, I mean, you do tax and you do some consulting, what's a typical client look like for you that's doing business with Thelen Financial? Let's take a moment for a quick word from our sponsor. This episode of the Growth Catalyst Show was brought to you by Transcendent Sales Solutions. Whether your company is facing uncertainty, declining sales, or resource limitations, Transcendent Sales has the solution. Their team has decades of experience helping businesses find alignment to meet their growth goals and transforming underperforming sales organizations into revenue-producing market leaders. They take a hands-on, results-oriented approach to solving sales challenges. Visit transcendentsales.com to learn more and subscribe to the bi-weekly Growth Catalyst newsletter for insightful growth strategies. Transcendent Sales Solutions, empowering businesses to reach new heights. And now back to the show.
Most of our clients are in the trades or in the service. They're all in services. They're either trade services or professional services. So typically 1 to 5 owners of either, some kind of business, a partnership or an S Corp, or in some cases C Corps, but most likely the partnerships and S Corps. And then, they're usually offering services, either, other consultants or accounting firms or law firms, or they're on the trade side and they're offering services like landscaping, HVAC, any of the trade services. And so those are kind of our two broad silos, if you will. And size wise, typically have a handful of employees up to a lot of employees. Um, Majority of them are in that 5 to $20 million of revenue range. It just depends on the business. You hear that. It sounds like a wide range, but like a $20 million company that doesn't make much profit might be a small business. So $5 million company that makes 90% profit. You know what I mean? Like it just depends on the business.
Mhm.
And yeah, so that's what we do. And we typically uh, have year-end services with our clients. So it's, going through their books for getting ready for their tax return, doing their tax return, and then on up from there with all the CPA services, compiled statements, reviewed statements, audited statements, just depends on what their needs are. Few select clients, we have engagements throughout the year, various things where we'll either look at their books with them, do some kind of planning stuff. But most of our clients are, we'll do our planning on the front end, spring maybe, June maybe, and you know, go from there. But
So,
our goal is always to be accessible.
we're on the, as I mentioned, we're on the eve of another tax year, basically, or right in it. What are a few things you see business owners overlook when it is time to get ready for taxes or start doing their taxes as you go through and look backwards, basically?
Uh, you mean overlook at the end of the year, like when they're getting
Yeah.
me their stuff?
Just overlook, like, hey, I should have been doing this last year. It could have been a huge tax savings for me. Or, oh my God, I've done this so many years this way. I wish I would have known. I would have done it differently.
Probably the biggest missed opportunity for the smaller pass-through entities is retirement accounts. A lot of people are like, oh, I'm going to set up a retirement plan. Well, a year goes by, we get to the end of the year. Hey, did you set up that retirement plan? Nope. Okay. And then, well, maybe they do set up a retirement plan. They forget to fund it, cash flow, whatever, and they never fund it. So the retirement plan is probably one of the biggest missed opportunities that's caused by the business owner. um, Another big missed opportunity I see in the trade services a lot is mismanagement of depreciation. That's not so much on the business owners, it is on the CPA. So, you'll see CPAs 179 everything. Well, they might be in a really low tax bracket year. And so they get this huge deduction in a low tax bracket year, doesn't save them as much. If you manage, if those guys manage that depreciation better and they take the larger deductions in high tax bracket years, they'll get bigger bang for the buck.
Mhm. Yeah, I know. I remember in capital equipment, it is always, yeah, take the 179 all at once. But yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Um, what do you see anything different, drastically different as we are all start thinking about our 2024 taxes versus what we had to deal in our 2023 tax years?
There's nothing drastically different this year. There's some changes in depreciation, but there's some noise that'll be retroactively reinstated. 24 stuff is, I'm sure there's some other changes, but the biggest change that I've run across so far is the mileage increase went up. The mileage deduction went up another like 3.5 cents. So for
In
people who,
24.
yeah, for the tax year 24.
Oh, okay. I thought it's like 67 cents now, isn't it?
Yeah, it is 67. It was like 65 or
I,
64 and a
my,
half.
I use mileage IQ, so it just runs, and then at the end, I go, "Oh, okay, here's what it was." So,
Yeah.
yeah, okay, that's so really nothing major. Nothing
Yeah,
major.
nothing that affects like the middle market and small market businesses. There's no like major changes out there. I mean, 100% bonus depreciation went to 80%. That's a big change for people who use bonus depreciation. But again, like we're expecting that to most likely be put back to 100% retroactively. We'll see what happens. But even
Okay,
then, I mean,
yeah. Um, you've owned a business for a very successful business and have grown it nicely over the last few years. As an entrepreneur, looking at it from an entrepreneur's lens, what are some things you've learned along the way to run a successful business?
stay out of debt. Finding ways to stay out of debt or use smarter debt. You don't want to go run. Biggest, quickest, easiest thing to do is just go get a credit card, put a bunch of shit on a credit card. Um, those can come out to bite you if you're not careful with that. So, finding ways to get your business off the ground without that kind of debt is pretty important.
Watch the debt. What else? Anything else that comes to mind?
Put good people around you. Your your circle of friends is going to have a huge impact on the future of your business and how you proceed. So, putting good advisors around you, putting good networkers around you, um, these are pretty important things.
Can you tell me a success story of a business you've been working with and how you've been able to help them?
Oh man, I wish you had told me you're going to ask that so I could think about it.
Right off, I'm telling you, as I said, we don't plan anything on this show. It's right at you.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot, man. So you mean now, like right now in my
Yeah,
firm, or
yeah,
okay?
sure. Of course, no names. Just what impact you've had.
Well, we had a nonprofit that the attorney had filed their nonprofit. He didn't really mess it up. The client didn't understand what had occurred and therefore what needed to occur. So some balls got dropped, and he ended up with penalty notices like $60,000. They get real aggressive with the nonprofits. We got them out of all of it because we were able to go back, unravel what had been done, file the correct things, and get it all filed for them. There was another there was another one, not as recently, a year or so ago, and it took a couple years to unravel. The prior CPA had misfiled some S corp uh, elections. And so there was a number of years that didn't get processed. And so we were able to go in and get the S election retroactively accepted to the date we wanted it accepted, and then get everything reprocessed. I think we got out of that without any penalties. I'm not, may have been a couple, but that's actually a common one. I see that probably 3 or 4 times a year. Often not as bad as that particular one. It's usually just 1 year, and that's easier to unravel, but happens.
That was an easy one because that's because that customer of yours was me, and you kind of stole my thunder because that was my testimonial for you, and that's
Oh,
exactly
okay.
what happened. I had the wrong CPA who didn't follow through on things, and when I switched to that from just being an LLC to filing as an S corp, that S election wasn't filed, and I didn't know it for 2 years until I didn't know and I remember how you found out is, hey, why won't the IRS accept your return electronically? And why are you sending it on paper? And you didn't know. And we sent it. I forget what we did. We might have sent it on paper until we figured out because we didn't know. And then
Yeah,
it was a huge mess to unravel. And you helped me unravel it. And it took almost 2 years.
yeah,
And it wasn't and it wasn't because of your not at the 2 years didn't have to do your efforts. It's because of the probably a half a million IRS agents that we have been busy doing other things. So,
yeah.
um,
The wheels of the IRS turn slow. I'm on about a year working with an individual who she got real bad advice. She divorced and got the house and sold the house, but it was a rental. It wasn't the house she lived in. And someone, her barber, I think, told her, "Oh, well, you don't have to file that. You get an exemption." 2 years later, she gets a notice for tax on the gross amount of the house instead of the profit of the house because the IRS had no idea of the profit. They just knew how much it sold for. And so she's sitting here with this notice for like 200 something $1,000 in taxes. And, that's simple. It's a slam dunk case. It's real simple. And in fact, I've actually spoken with someone at the IRS. They're like, yeah, we understand exactly. I'm like, okay, well, why does the client keep getting these notices? And she's like, oh, well, this other department has to process it and then has to go to this other department and they have to do this. And it's like,
Nobody knows what the other one is doing.
exactly.
Well, not only did you help me get out of a mess like that, but you've helped me get more disciplined in a lot of different areas of my business, including the 401k. And I was one of the owners who had a SEP and I was putting in, but wasn't definitely putting into what my financial, what I was able to, and how much I could max it out. And, um, and my financial advisor, of course, didn't agree because he liked me being in my SEP, but it was a good move. And you give good, sound tax advice and gives good, sound business advice. And as a client, I always appreciate that about you. And you are available and you do help out through the year. And that's something that's very much appreciated.
Well, thanks, Dan.
So, last question. If somebody wants to find out more about Thelen Financial Partners and how to get a hold of you, what's the best way to do so?
Just call my office. Yeah.
Which is?
You want the number?
Yes.
678-526-6883.
Okay. And do you have a website?
Yeah, it's thelenfinancial.com.
THELEN
Yeah.
financial.com.
Yeah.
All right.
I think
Well,
so.
listen, I think so. Are you checking now? You're going to check and just make sure. Great entrepreneur.
It's just thelenfinancial.com.
He's got other people handling that kind of stuff. So,
yeah.
So, Peter, listen, I want to thank you for, what you do. You're a leader in the community. You do a lot with Rotary. You do a lot with charities. You're on the board with one of the chapters of the Georgia Society of CPAs. You're a family man. You do it all. And I heard you got a pretty good golf game too. So, so listen, I just want to thank you for everything you do. And most importantly, right on the eve of starting the crazy period of your time, thank you for taking a few minutes to be on the Growth Catalyst Show.
Yeah, thanks, Dan. I appreciate you having me.
And that's a wrap for today's episode of the Growth Catalyst Show. Remember, you can take these stories of growth and make them part of your own journey. Learn from them, draw inspiration, and let them guide your path of growth. I'm your host, Dan Mahoney, and I look forward to our next journey together. If you've enjoyed the show, please subscribe and leave a review. Until next time, keep growing.